So let's bring in Matt Whitaker, former acting attorney general under President Trump. Matt, always good to have you with us. Let's just put up this email from Leslie Wolf. She said to the IRS investigators, please focus on FARA evidence only. That's working as a foreign agent with other countries. And then she went on to say, there should be nothing about political figure number one in here, in your work. Matt, we know that the whistleblowers have said that that was just one email that was a part of a very big narrative that they were getting to stay away from anything that would link to the president. Your thoughts?
Yeah, so many thoughts on this because, it is just such an obvious example of the two-tier system of justice. But I think, not executing a search warrant at Joe Biden's house because of the optics, even though there was probable cause. They didn't seem to care about the optics of the Mar-a-Lago execution of a search warrant. But all of that, I think, is kind of on the side, because ultimately what this case is about is whether or not Hunter Biden traded on his dad's name and whether his dad benefited from that. And there is evidence, and obviously the White House doesn't want to admit it, but there is evidence and more evidence that could be developed. But remember, if AUSA Wolf didn't answer questions, and we saw yesterday Hunter being unwilling to answer questions under oath and in a deposition, the key people that were involved in the investigation and were the targets of that investigation are not talking. So, where is this evidence supposed to come from? That would be the question I would ask the White House.
The bottom line is, and obviously people are tripping all over themselves to say there's absolutely nothing here. So if that's the case, then Joe Biden, the president, should want to share all of his financial papers. He always puts his IRS statements out, but financial documents that have been requested are nowhere. They won't expose any of that to these investigators. And the real issue under here is millions of dollars that came from China and Ukraine, two countries that the current president, has to deal with the threat from China and the support for Ukraine every single day. So the question is whether or not all of this influence and money raising that his son's business was doing, whether or not it had any impact on policy or national security, Matt, right?
Yeah, and that's a great point, Martha. I think that gets to the core issue because remember, Ukraine is wanting another tens of billions of dollars from the United States. Joe Biden is supportive of that. China obviously is an adversary and is taking a threatening posture as it relates to Taiwan. And so, many of these issues are intertwined with exactly who Hunter Biden was doing business. And you make the perfect point, which is if he has nothing to hide, just share the bank account records to see if the wire transfers came from all those LLCs the Biden family had set up into Joe Biden to support his lifestyle. Because remember, he almost immediately became much wealthier when he left the vice presidency.
Yeah, he's always been in public service, which they say is a noble thing, but he has never had a business ever. So where does all of this money come from and what is it for? Is a legitimate question. Yeah. So I think that the avenue of inquiry is important here. And if there's nothing there, there's nothing there. But that's what the inquiry is all about. So, Matt, thank you very much. Matt Whitaker.
Thank you. Good to see you, Martha.
Always good to have you here.
Merry
Thank
Christmas.
you very much.
Hi, everyone. I'm Brian Kilmeade. I want you to do me a favor. I want you to click to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page. This is the only way that I know for sure that you're not going to miss any great commentary, any great news bites, any great interviews coming your way on Fox. You can get it all here on YouTube. So subscribe right now.